Welcome to Story Vault, where we uncover the truth behind the stories that shake Hollywood and reveal what really happens behind the scenes. Today's episode dives deep into a shocking moment that left audiences stunned, when legendary actor Sylvester Stallone, the man who gave us Rocky Balboa and John Rambo, abruptly walked out of Jimmy Kimmel Live after a heated on-air exchange. What really happened that night? Was it a publicity stunt, or did Kimmel truly cross the line with one of Hollywood's toughest stars? Let's rewind and find out. It all started on a Thursday night in Los Angeles. The stage was glowing, the cameras were rolling, and Jimmy Kimmel was in his usual high spirits. His team had been hyping the episode all week. Tonight, we've got a Hollywood legend, the one and only Sylvester Stallone. The audience roared with excitement. Stallone, dressed in a tailored navy suit and wearing his signature grin, walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. The theme from Rocky briefly played in the background, and Kimmel jokingly flexed his arms, pretending to be in the ring. Stallone laughed and gave him a friendly jab in the shoulder, the perfect setup for what everyone expected to be a fun, light-hearted interview. At first, it was exactly that. The two joked about Stallone's recent projects, his memories from the early Rocky days, and his lifelong passion for storytelling. Kimmel teased him about his workout routine, asking if he still trained like a boxer. Stallone chuckled and said, "At my age, I don't train to fight, I train to survive." The audience laughed, and for a moment, everything seemed perfectly in sync. But as the conversation turned to Stallone's personal life, something shifted. Kimmel's tone sharpened. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk, and asked, "You know, Sly, people say you've got a reputation for being, well, difficult on set. Is that true?" The audience gave a polite chuckle, but Stallone's smile faded slightly. He answered calmly, "I'm passionate, Jimmy. When you've got one shot to make something great, you've got to fight for it." Kimmel nodded, but he didn't let it go. "Sure, but I've heard some of your co-stars didn't exactly see it that way. I mean, there were stories about Creed and even back in the Rambo days, some say you pushed things too far." The air grew heavy. Stallone shifted in his chair. His jaw tightened. "People love to talk, especially when they weren't there," he replied, his voice quieter but firm. The audience didn't know how to react. Some laughed nervously. Others sensed the tension brewing. Kimmel tried to lighten the mood. "Hey, I'm just saying, you're a legend, man. I'd never want to argue with Rambo." But Stallone didn't laugh. Instead, he leaned slightly forward. "You're right, Jimmy. You wouldn't." The crowd gasped. Kimmel smiled awkwardly, unsure whether Stallone was joking. Okay, we'll move on," he said, flipping through his cue cards. But what came next would ignite the explosion no one saw coming. He looked up and said, "So, your daughters are becoming quite the stars on social media. Does it bother you that people know them more for Instagram than for your movies?" Stallone blinked. His tone turned icy. "You went too far, man." A tense silence filled the studio. Even the band stopped playing. Kimmel tried to recover. "Hey, I didn't mean anything bad, I just meant." But Stallone raised a hand. "No, Jimmy. You invited me here to talk about my work, my career. Not to turn my family into clickbait." The audience murmured. Some clapped in support. Others were visibly uncomfortable. Kimmel stammered, "Sly, come on, it's all in good fun." But Stallone stood up, adjusted his suit jacket, and said quietly into his microphone, "Fun for who?" And with that, he turned, waved to the crowd, and walked off the stage. The cameras caught every second, the studio lights reflecting off his watch, the stunned expression on Kimmel's face, and the audience caught between disbelief and awe. For a brief moment, no one knew what to do. Kimmel looked toward the producers, clearly unsure whether to cut to commercial or chase after him. Eventually, the show abruptly went to break. Social media erupted within minutes. Clips of Stallone's walkout flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Hashtags like #StalloneWalksOut and #KimmelTooFar started trending worldwide. Fans were divided. Some praised Stallone for standing up for himself, while others accused him of overreacting. One user tweeted, "You don't mess with Slice family. Period." Another wrote, "It's Jimmy's job to joke, Stallone needs to lighten up." But behind the scenes, the truth was even more complicated. According to a source who worked on the show that night, the segment wasn't supposed to go that way. Stallone's team specifically asked that personal questions about his family be avoided, the insider revealed. Jimmy went off script for a laugh, but it backfired. Later that night, Stallone's publicist released a short statement. "Mr. Stallone values humor and spontaneity, but when it crosses into disrespect for his loved ones, he draws the line. He wishes the Jimmy Kimmel Live team the best." It wasn't a fiery rant, but it was clear. Stallone was done with the situation. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel addressed the incident briefly the next night. He said with a half-smile, "Let's just say, sometimes the Italian stallion doesn't pull his punches." The audience laughed, but the tension behind the joke was still visible. Industry insiders began debating whether the walkout was real or staged. Some believed it was orchestrated publicity for Stallone's upcoming project, a gritty streaming series he was set to release in the following months. Others insisted it was genuine. "Stallone doesn't fake emotion," said one veteran producer. "He's old school. If he's mad, he means it." But to really understand why Stallone reacted that way, we have to look deeper into his past. Sylvester Stallone has never been just an actor. He's a survivor, a man who fought tooth and nail to earn respect in Hollywood. In the early 1970s, he was a struggling writer and actor, living in near poverty. When he wrote the script for Rocky, every studio wanted it, but none wanted him in the lead role. Stallone refused to sell it unless he could play the character himself. That decision nearly cost him everything, but it ultimately built his legacy. To Stallone, Rocky wasn't just a movie, it was a mirror of his life. The underdog who wouldn't quit. That's why, even decades later, when someone questions his integrity, it cuts deeper than it seems. Friends close to him say Stallone is fiercely protective of his family. "He can handle jokes about himself all day long," one longtime colleague explained, "but touch his kids or his wife, and you'll see a different side of him." As the days passed after the Kimmel incident, the entertainment world couldn't stop talking. Major outlets ran the story on repeat. Morning shows replayed the clip, analyzing Stallone's every expression. Memes flooded the internet, showing Stallone walking out with captions like, "When the boss crosses the line," or "Rambo mode activated." But behind the humor, there was something deeper, a conversation about boundaries in entertainment. How far is too far when it comes to celebrity interviews? Experts in media ethics weighed in. One commentator said, "Talk show hosts thrive on tension and surprise. But there's a fine line between playful teasing and personal attack." Stallone's reaction reminds us that celebrities are people first. Days later, paparazzi caught Stallone leaving a gym in Beverly Hills. When asked by a reporter if he'd ever go back on Kimmel's show, he smiled faintly and said, "Never say never, but respect has to come first." It was a short answer, but it spoke volumes. Meanwhile, on social media, Stallone's fans rallied behind him. His daughters posted supportive messages, thanking people for their kindness and reminding everyone that their father was the most loyal, protective man in the world. A week later, an unexpected twist occurred. Jimmy Kimmel reportedly reached out privately to Stallone to apologize. While neither side confirmed the details, an insider claimed, Jimmy didn't mean harm. He respects Stallone deeply. They cleared the air privately. Whether that's true or not, the public never saw another on-screen reunion, at least not yet. Still, the incident became part of late-night TV lore, one of those unforgettable moments when entertainment turned unexpectedly real. It wasn't